the Honourable Adi Litia Qionibaravi. You have the floor, Madam.
Thank you, Honourable Mr. Speaker, sir. The Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Prime Minister, members of Cabinet, Honourable members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone listening or viewing the Parliament session via radio, television, or the live stream online. Mr. Speaker, I rise to contribute to the motion tabled by the Honourable Prime Minister regarding the address of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Fiji Islands, in opening the second session of this August House a week ago on Tuesday, 12 November 2019. Before I do so, Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to first acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which the House of Parliament sits. Honourable Speaker, I join my fellow members to express my condolences to the government and people of Samoa, where 14 children have passed away being victims of measles epidemic. I pray God's peace upon the deceased children's families and the people of Samoa. Mr. Speaker, sir, at this juncture, I also echo my fellow members who have expressed gratitude for the opportunity to serve the people of Fiji in my first year as parliamentarian. As an alternate member of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, I have seen close up the challenges that civil servants face, the breakdown in procedures and processes, year in and year out, resulting in wastage of taxpayers' funds because of mismanagement, corrupted practices, and little or no effort to correct inefficiencies in state agencies. I acknowledge, Mr. Speaker, sir, the billions of dollars that have been spent by government in its effort to improve the standard of living, infrastructure, governance of the nation. However, people have suffered and have continued to suffer due to the wrong economic policies, resulting in high unemployment, high cost of living, poor health facilities, to name a few. Mr. Speaker, sir, given the massive governance failures, mismanagement of the economy, the gouging of the people by the Fiji First Party government, increasing crimes, including the serious consequences of the illegal use of marijuana, meth, cocaine, etc., it is my duty to echo the call of the Leader of the Loyal Opposition and my fellow members and call on the Prime Minister, the Attorney General, the Fiji First Ministers to resign. Honourable Speaker, I had looked forward to hearing His Excellency's opening address and was dismayed to note the rather political overtones in his address. The Honourable Leader of Opposition has articulated clearly the expectations we hold of the highest office of the land. The head of the state is the fountain of honour, authority and mercy, and should bring unity to the nation. Honourable Speaker, with due respect, the address did not give the people of Fiji confidence or hope. Instead, it was yet again Fiji First Party's broken record of padding their accomplishments and ignoring the elephant in the room. For my contribution today, sir, I wish to focus firstly on what we as parliamentarians can do if we're able to come together in the interest of the nation. Mr. Speaker, I wish to look back at the 64th Commonwealth Parliament Association Conference in Kampala, Uganda, which I was fortunate to attend as a member of the Fiji delegation, which you led. I thank you for the opportunity to participate in the conference, sir. The theme of the 64th CPA was adaptation, engagement, and evolution of parliaments in a rapidly changing Commonwealth. We can kickstart the resolution of our national ills if we honour that theme. This requires Parliament to be more than just a rubber stamp of executive actions. Parliament must perform its role as the third co-equal branch of government to hold the executive and judiciary accountable and to itself be accountable by the other two branches of government. With due respect, this means that the travesty of the decision in the September sitting to let the Prime Minister off and to punish Honourable Pio Tikundundua, the victim of the alleged assault, should have been corrected by the Director of Public Prosecutions and the police to charge the Prime Minister for the offence. Given the DPP decided there was sufficient evidence, the third arm of the state, the judiciary, would then decide the merits of assault charges and whether double jeopardy applies. It is unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, sir, the state institutions under the three arms of government are now subservient to the coup makers of 2006. Mr. Speaker, in addition to continuing human rights abuses, the majority of our people face economic hardship. The Bureau of Statistics 2013 and 14 Household Income Expenditure Survey found 29% of our population living below the poverty line and another 20% facing hardship on the margins of poverty line. That is at least half of our people facing hardship daily. For the rest, we have steady employment, wages have been stagnant, and cost of living continues to rise. As if increasing poverty and rising of cost of living is not bad enough, government continues to increase various fees, fines, and charges. It now costs up to $15 to get a birth certificate. Business licenses, fishing license are exorbitant. People are penalized for trying to make a living, as government is so desperate to get its cut of every bit of economic activity. Exorbitant fees and charges are emblematic of a desperate government and illustration of killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. Reckless spending before the 2014 and 2018 elections have brought us to where we are today. It resulted in the massive cut of $809 million in the 2019-2020 budget. The bill must be paid, Mr. Speaker, sir, and it is the ordinary people who will pay. Mr. Speaker, sir, after the $809 million budget cut, we continue to see red flags signifying tough times ahead. The RBF was forced to revise downwards the projected economic growth for this year, down to 1% 2 weeks ago. In November 2018, the projection was 3.4%, and then in May 2019, this was revised downwards to 2.7%. Now it is 1%. As the opposition leader had stated, let us hope it is not going to be a negative growth below 0% when the final figure comes in for 2019. His Excellency the President had focused on the 2013 Constitution and the views of a handful of members of our society. All messages showcased only to support that imposed Constitution. No messages of concern were aired. I suggest the Ministry of Information, next competition, ask citizens to express their views on the cost of living. Mr. Speaker, sir, at the heart of Fiji's crisis is that very same 2013 Constitution decree. Yes, sir, while an Act of Parliament may have renamed decrees as acts, the fact is that they were not debated in Parliament or tabled by an elected government. These decrees, including 2013 Constitution, were imposed by an unelected regime on the people of Fiji. Renaming a decree as an act does not take away the fact, but continues the litany of misinformation and fiction masquerading as reality that citizens are subject to. As I have stated above, the institutions of the state are now subservient, co-opted, and controlled by the coup makers of 2006. They had the military, corrections, police, and government of the day. It is unfortunate that they interpret their interest, their political survival, as the national interest. That is why human rights abuses remain unresolved and why hot water was allegedly poured on a suspect in Navua last week. Despite claims by the government delegation to the United Nations in Geneva earlier this month, Fiji received a record of 242 recommendations. The most important, 55 recommendations, were not accepted by the Fiji delegation. These recommendations call for review of draconian decrees like media decree, public order, amendment decrees, crimes decree, essential industries decrees. In terms of Itoke, the continuing disempowerment of indigenous people is an injustice that the Fiji First government perpetuates every day. In effect, native land has been nationalized with less decision-making power to land-owning units and possible perpetual alienation of their land to government under the Land Use Decree. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is one of the reasons that the UN Committee on Elimination of Racial Discrimination, CERD, in 2012, questioned government on anti-indigenous decrees and laws. CERD recommended their review and repeal, pending free, prior, and informed consent of indigenous Itoke. As a result, the Fiji First government has not filed any follow-up reports on UN CERD. According to the UN Human Rights website, Fiji's CERD reports of 2014, 2016, and 2018 remain pending. It is therefore unlikely that government will front up to serve in 2020 because it doesn't want to be held accountable for its actions against Itoke. It is my view, Mr. Speaker, sir, that the social re-engineering experiment that started in year 0, 2006, according to the learned Attorney General, will not work despite all the decrees to enforce it. Mr. Speaker, sir, the anti-Itoke decrees prohibits any court, tribunal, or any other adjudicating body from hearing or determining any challenge to the validity or any decisions made under those decrees. This is found in the regulation of the surfing area decree, the land use decree, the mahogany industry development decree, and the Denarau decree, to name a few. The provision makes a mockery of Section 15.2 of the 2013 Constitution, which states, every party to a civil dispute has the right to have the matter determined by a court of law, or if appropriate, by an independent and impartial tribunal. Yet another hollow human right in the 2013 Constitution. I submit, Mr. Speaker, sir, that this is a breach of the so-called right to equality which Fiji First claims they have brought to all the people of Fiji. Be that as it may, Mr. Speaker, SODELPA stands for the rule of law and will continue to abide by the rule of law. We will continue to stand up for the rights of all the people of Fiji against such draconian and unjust laws. Mr. Speaker, sir, the drug problems in Fiji has reached unprecedented levels. I am concerned with increasing abuse of marijuana and now the more deadly meth or cocaine in our communities, including villages. They now make up 90% of addiction cases at St. Giles. I was also dismayed to hear from the regional UN AIDS representative at the Speaker's debate on HIV/AIDS in Singotoka that over 100 arrests a month for meth raises the risk for the spread of HIV/AIDS. Mr. Speaker, sir, a holistic approach is urgently required to address the heart problems, the drug problems in Fiji. The Vanua, Lotu, and Matantu must work together. I urge government to allocate budgetary provision for awareness programs to be conducted and for rehabilitation efforts to be stepped up. I understand that a number of government ministries have signed a memorandum of understanding with the Good News Church of Korea, which conducts a series of mind lectures. These lectures have actually changed the minds of hardcore criminals, drug addicts, through following the Word of God and the Holy Spirit. Honorable Speaker, the Methodist Church of Fiji has also signed a memorandum of understanding with the Good News Church of Korea. I believe that the Lotu, Matantu, and Vanua must work together to combat the continuing use of drugs and the serious consequences on families and society, as we have all witnessed. I now wish to say a few things about Tailevu, Mr. Speaker, sir, constituency issues. I also wish to raise the outstanding needs of people of Tailevu on the improvement of supply of clean water, the Tikina of Tai, Taivungalei, Verata, as well as Ndakuivuna and parts of Wainimbuka. The supply of clean and safe water is a basic human right under Section 36(1) of the 2013 Constitution. There have been continuing calls for improvement of infrastructure, including road improvement in Dausamo and Verata, Tunia Village Road, Taivungalei Road, road widening and tar sealing, upgrading of a bridge between Navunisola Village and Waimalua settlement to a higher level to avoid flash flooding along the Waimalua Road near Korovo Town in Tailevu. There have been consistent calls for the upgrading of both the Korovo subdivision hospitals as well as that in Nayavu and Imbuka, the construction of health centers to replace the burnt health center at Ndongo in the Mena Tailevu, the expansion of Verata Health Center near Nevuruvuru Village, the construction of a health center in Atumbuningyo Vungalei, upgrading of the Makani Hospital, upgrading of the Vatukarasa and Kunia nursing stations to health centers. Mr. Speaker, to conclude, our nation is on the brink and no other government has displayed such incompetence during its term in government. The side of the House have been calling for a bipartisan approach to solve the nation's ills, and this has fallen on deaf ears. I therefore have no pleasure in echoing the call from the side of the House in the interest of the nation, the Prime Minister, the Attorney General, and Cabinet to resign and for fresh elections to be called so this nation because we know that you're not going to agree to resign, Honorable Prime Minister.
Order.
In closing, I regret that you're not going to resign. This is why we're continuing to call for bipartisan approach. In closing, Mr. Speaker, sir, I regret that I cannot support the motion before the House. Naka.
Thank you.
I thank the Honorable Adi Litia Qionibaravi for